I don't know when I'd fallen asleep, but I easily felt that what sleep I got did me little favor. My waking was fairly quick, bright and early in the morning, but I did nothing for the next hour at least. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling. The nurse did routine checks, helped me use the restroom again. Though, other than being emotionally hollowed out, my body at least had enough strength to make the journey this time. I wordlessly laid back in the bed, staring into space as the nurse departed. I was alone with my thoughts again. It was still going to act as my guardians while my parents were, wherever they were. Raptor Jesus knows that I didn't deserve it in the least, but if Randy and the Pains are anything, it's kind of a fault. I had a moment of being inclined to reach for my new phone, but even that felt like it took too much effort. From the developers, they have to put in the whole thing with the phone! Again, this is what... I think they have, like, special functions in it for this, so... What would I even do on it right now? Watch some stupid video about a game I've never played. Inco slips back into a coma and gets isekai'd into Dune's level of first encounter. What? It's a hell of a trip. I was disgusted at my own shallowness, disgusted at my way of thinking, disgusted at my behavior. Inco, as someone who has grown a lot as a writer and a critic, as just a person in general, I can tell you that you can still enjoy those videos. You're just going to be very sassy about the fact that the person writing isn't really saying anything. And hey, that just means you grew, buddy. It's the way to check. Having spent the quiet time, the last day and a half looking back at everything that had led up to where I was now, I quietly resolved to myself that I would never forgive myself for it. But that didn't mean that I was going to drag anyone else down into that pit with me. Hating myself was my penance, but not my absolution. If the Pains and Olivia never wanted to see me again for what I had done, once I had done what I could to make things right, I was fine with that. Turned my stomach into knots. Again! Stir it up a little bit, buddy. You're being... No. I will say that while this isn't as flowery with the language, it is... At least... The problem I have with this, right, is that it is definitely contemplative, but Inco's emotions are not complex. They're just very superficial analysis. Very manly, I like to call them, in that they are disinterested in exploring the vibes of an emotion. Only the practical elements of it. And that's lame! Like, I know it's very realistic, but depression sucks you into a fucking hole, man. It's a dark place. And people describe it like that because it feels like that. Because it overtakes your perception of reality and substitutes it with its own. But not like Randy Savage in a cool way. That's the downside. But it was the correct way to go with it. I couldn't force my stupidity on people anymore. That was what got us to where we currently are. I live with it. That guy who I forgot the name of in the Telltale Walking, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. What I could do was actually be useful for once in my life and help. Next time the nurse came, shortly before lunch, I jotted down a few questions on my notepad, which she was happy to answer. First, the SLP was due around 1:30 in the afternoon. Next, I asked how much a new quality wheelchair costs. She tried to assure me that my injuries didn't necessitate it before I corrected the notion by explaining that I'd accidentally damaged a friend's. I wanted to help replace it. She gave me a smile of surprising warmth for my apparent kindness. I'm sure she'd carry a much worse expression if she knew the context, but there was no point in burdening her with the truth. I will say that this nurse character, I don't know, man. You're using her a lot to not give her a little bit of a little extra, you know? You gave the doctor a fucking name. Lastly, I asked when the neck brace was come off. She said she wasn't sure. She would see to it that Dr. Nick had told me later. I gave my thanks and she was on her way again. And didn't want to waste her time too much on me. She was certainly busy. Didn't want to owe it. I opened my contacts on my new phone and tapped the contact... Blech! Don't double up on that! For the Payne's household number. Why is my brain upset about this? That's perfectly normal. Although I would have gone with home number or something like that. But that might just be because I don't speak English natively. And there's those little niggly bits that always get you. The phone rang a few times before... Also, who the fuck has a landline these days? Who has a landline anymore? Is that an American thing? Because around here, people don't do landlines no more. I think my dad has one only because it came with like because he just has one of those old fucking phone things going on. My mom doesn't have one. My brother doesn't have one. I think it's an American thing though. Logistics are different. The phone rang a few times before it was picked up. I'd expected Randy, but I got Mrs. Payne instead. I like how you're not on first name basis with Sophie, even though she's nicer. Hello, Sophia speaking. Oh, right, I'm an idiot. I just realized my mistake of calling someone when not being able to speak properly. God, I'm stupid. I got over something that I hope vaguely sounded like sorry and ended the call. I flipped over to Damien's contacts and tested out the message to him, telling him to pass along that the special will be at 1:30 and if he could tell his dad. The message was sent, marked as read, and a few times the dots of typing showed up before clearing his reply and settling on OK. That was probably the least I'd ever gotten out of Damien in text. No doubt he heard that Randy now knows everything, and that put the mood in the pains of it. Yeah, they were already in a really bad spot. Oh boy. I don't think Inco considered the potential fallout of explaining what actually happened there. Especially if anyone is confronting Olivia with it. Because Damien was already in his goth phase. And they already were like, we might have to kick out Olivia. To some extent, you know, a bad person could take this out on Olivia instead. Because, you know, she got out fine. Okay. But still, the curt reply kind of hurt when I reflected on how things were ever so slightly better than last night before they left. Yeah, man, you did it yourself. You could have asked for time and he would have given it to you. I could turn on the TV or keep browsing on my phone, but neither held any appeal to me. I let my phone plop into my lap, and I just stared at an indeterminate point in space, letting my mind drift. Buddy, you're gonna get cabin fever. Tries to whisper in the pain chat, but forgot he was server muted! Poor guy. Lunch came and went. I didn't have any appetite, but I did force down some small nibbles and drank my fluids. He got himself that aquafreya or something. Last thing I would need is for them to think I was starving myself. True to his word, Randy arrived at about 1 p.m., ahead of when the specialist would arrive. That he was here in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week, once again meant that he called him to work to take care of his son. I was too tired to even feel guilt over that misapplication of effort. He only said a short greeting, then took up his seat by the end of the bed and got back to his book that he'd left her overnight. I couldn't tell what was going on through his mind, but if he actually despised me, I don't think he would be here. I also didn't have the courage to break the silence. My efforts last night were certainly straining things already. And he certainly told Mrs. Payne about it as well. But he still showed there was a small, infinitesimal chance that they wouldn't cut me off when their guardianship duties were done. It was the best I could hope for right now. Man, I love how dark his thoughts are. I would love it if it's like, nah, man, what the fuck are you on? Is, you know, that's depression. Proper depression. Don't trust the person with depression, ever. Their brains are fucked up and lying to get those depression points, those DPs, so they could level up. The specialist ended up being about 10 minutes late, but I didn't fault him. Someone with that skill set would probably be in demand in various places, and that traveled here to meet me in the first place. What's surprising, though, is that he was human like me. He had a much darker complexion. Oh, aren't you just being polite? With a close-trimmed haircut and a beard, both of which were both thoroughly salted and peppered, but definitely human. Neat. That's what racists say, Anon. Inco. I feel like Inco would ham on it. Because he's like, I'm such a metropolitan boy. I'm of the... Now there's something in my throat, great. Why are you describing his face if you're not even going to give him a fucking name or anything with it? Why bother? Also, I would like to point out, this is important, the way you describe this is like, oh, you know, he's human. You know, he might have a different color of skin, he might have a beard, but he's human. There is an implicit implication here that these things would make him less human somehow. I'm just saying, you can read into it, and Inco just sounds weird, and I like that. Inco has traveled back, and he's going for that 1950s casual racism. And on his competitive... Anon's going the whole hog, you know. He ain't going for the low balls. He'll say it with the hard R. promptly get beaten up because you said it out loud like a fucking idiot. Oof. Woof. You could have at least said it in the privacy of your own home, you idiot, instead of in front of one. He's just like, getting gored by Trish. My proudest moment. Well, it's also your last moment, amigo. Because I don't think anyone can fix that injury before you're done bleeding out. Worth it. And I hope he goes, I am slain! It's the perfect line. Okay. Introduce himself and explain that over the next little while I'll be performing his various tests with you to figure out the specifics of my condition. I nodded in confirmation that I understood. Why are you being so specific with it? And Randy moves himself to one of the other seating chairs on the other side of the room to give him space to work. The test was surprisingly simple in practice. He gave me various things to try and say, and made me try and do certain facial expressions or make various non-word utterances. Writing things down, attempt to answer questions and work out word puzzles. They took some blood samples as well. He told me that they'd already had scans of my brain, so that wasn't required today. As we did them, it was very calming to listen to. This man was entirely in his element, with years of experience working with different people in a difficult position. He did a great job making me feel at ease. I mean, his entire job is dealing with people who are fucked up. With various tests done, he excused himself to talk to Dr. Nickett, leaving me alone with Randy once again. Unless Dr. Nickett gets a bigger role, it's really weird how much Dr. Nickett has a fucking name. You're allowed to say that the doctor introduced himself and never explain what the name is, if you're not going to fucking use him. That's called... Because my brain has to store this information now. My brain knows what the SPL looks like. Or SLP, I don't even know. Yeah, SLP. Pathologist. Various tests done, he excused himself to Dr. Nickett. Leave me alone with Randy once again. I lay myself back on the bed, resolving myself to... That's not what resolving is! When he finally spoke for the first time since he got here. Okay, Inco, for the next exercise, try doing the Dwayne Johnson eyebrow raise. Yeah, you have to do it with the dramatic emphasis, or I won't count it. How are you feeling today, son? You sounded beyond tired, but not angry. Again, you can just say, but not angry. I don't know why it's... This is what I call weirdly specific. There's stage directions which are like instructions that don't fucking add anything to the scene. Just get rid of them. Your editor will tell you to cut them because they're not adding... you'd be surprised how little you need to get a scene across. But this is like... This can be made more conversational. Would Inco be conversational, though? That's the real question. I need to replay those games, and I'm just not. Not that I could pick up... Not that I could pick up on, anyways. That's when a realization hit me like a truck. It was a simple gesture, but it tightened my throat. He nodded and opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something else, but let it drop for now. A short while later, my two doctors returned, and the conclusion ended up being with Dr. Nickett as suspected. I could fully understand and work with my language, but due to partial paralysis of facial muscles and jaw, control of my mouth was too indelicate for articulated speech. Indelicate. Love that one. I'm going to keep that one. Put it in my little word book. The results have been pretty obvious since Dr. Nickett said them yesterday, so this was just a professional confirmation of the truth at this point. The news watched over me, but nothing really changed. The SLP... He's a pathologist. That is implied to be a specialist, buddy. You can just say the SLP. Did note that there are treatment... Although, admittedly, people say ATM machines, so whatever. There are treatment routines and exercise that can help show some level of articulation needed for speech, but he wanted to inform me that I would never be able to speak quite like I had before. I simply nodded. Dr. Nickett informed me that they would be working out the specifics of said treatment plan, and he would be back later to inform me of what my next steps were. Everything needing to be said had been said. They thanked Randy for being there and excused themselves. He didn't do anything. Randy quietly walked over to the chair by my bed and laid a gentle hand on my shoulder. Although I guess, he's there for the moral support. It can be scary meeting someone new. Talking to another doctor. We'll make it through this. You'll be okay, Inco. I didn't cry at his kind words, but I did come close. I grabbed my notepad and sketched down the question that had been eating at me since last night. Why are you being so nice to me? Why are you being so nice to me? He shook his head like it was a silly question. I already told you, son. You made your mistakes. You being honest with me about the specifics of them last night hurt. Absolutely. But you being honest with me shows that you're really taking those mistakes seriously. They cannot just sweep them under the rug. I nodded. I really was trying to be honest with them. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, I'm a little snippy because listen, I think I really like the Attack on Titan games. They're hilariously Muso, just turn your brain off and have a good time, fun, you know. They're nice and simple and satisfying. They got a lot of juice. They got a lot of juice. The oil is hot dog shit. Don't play it with a controller. You cannot aim that fucking cursor for shit. But with mouse and keyboard, blades are better. With controller, firearms are better. It's weird. Anyway, apparently you're not supposed to get those until way later in the plot, which just cracks me up when games fuck shit up like that. It's great. Oh, it makes me want to flex and go, ooh. Oh, that's just fucking great. The game in general is kind of weird in how it handles the fucking timeline. It's just great. On some level, I love it. It's the perfect kind of thing. But the point is, it has that anime thing where it spells shit out and characters are like, wait, X is Y? Well, first it's like a character goes, X and Y are close together. X could be Y. I think X is Y. And then another character's like, wait, X is Y? And then another person goes, could X be Y? And then he's like, yes, X is Y. And it's like, my God, you are not a Turkish soap opera. You don't have to repeat the same fucking statement 5 times. Maybe it's just a Japanese thing, but that stuff makes me so wiggly. Because I'm like, I have shit to do, and I don't want to hear characters say the same thing over and over. They're not even fucking doing anything with it. It's not like the characters are adding any fucking emotion to it or characterization. They're just saying it so that the audience remembers what the fuck's going on with the plot. Anyway. On my ride home yesterday, I talked to Damien. He didn't know about some of those things, but knew the bulk of them. He agreed with your telling for the parts he didn't know. I can tell you feel bad about leaving off some of the specifics, but I think it was just trying to protect you. Before I could think, I snorted derisively. Randy's brow furrowed, and I realized what I had done could be interpreted in a number of ways, so I wrote down an explanation. I didn't deserve that protection. You may feel that way, but he's a kind boy at heart. He lost himself in what was going on, same as me and you. That doesn't mean he wanted harm upon you. He didn't want harm upon you. Smack! The black eye is entirely secondary. I consider that. He gave me many chances to step in and try to correct things. He only resorted to violence that final time after I took that picture of Olivia and tried to go see her. That had been the breaking point. But you had tried to avoid that so many times before then. I concurred with Randy about his son. One of the kindest people I ever met. And because we're being honest, I'll tell you now. When I read what you wrote last night, it put the pieces together in my head. I was angry. I was so angry I couldn't even feel the heat of it. And that scared me. I probably should have let myself cool off and then talk to you again, but I was afraid I would say or do something that would make your situation worse. We've all had enough of those impulses already. You're like a 50-year-old man, Randy. This should come naturally to you. Like, at this point in your life, you just kind of know when you're going to go off the wall and you should probably go to bed first. So that's good, because he did. That surprised me a little. I've known Randy could get annoyed, but for him to grow so angry he was afraid he would do something he'd regret, it made sense, but I felt terrible about it. And if it needed to come out, I felt awful. I understand, I'm sorry. He nodded before continuing. Again, you might want to spice this shit up, or just stick to the fucking text. Also, stop this. Come on. This is super easy to catch during editing. You don't need the sentence at all. You don't need that much to make a dialogue work. You can focus on the talking. Use descriptive text when characters do things that characterize them. Otherwise, stick to the talking and the thinking. If you're doing first person, you have to stick to the thinking because the thinking is part of the process. But you know what I mean. When we got home, Davey and he didn't even make it out of the landing. He sat down to take his shoes off and fell asleep right there. As heavy as the subject matter was, the mental image of Damien falling asleep like that also made a small smile creep across my face. That was very him. Was it? The anger that had been roiling in me had cooled a bit, both for the worry of my boy and because of how silly he can be. And just because of how silly he can be. I'd almost have stirred him, but the moment tickled me so much that I went and got soft to show her. I'd explained that we both played board games with you and that Damien fell asleep in that position, and she laughed. that's the first time I've seen her in high spirits about something so small in a while. I really think that moment helped us relax a little. Damien does it again! He chuckled to himself quietly while shaking his head, remembering the moment. I would sense he would be reminiscing, fondly. He then took a breath and continued. After I put him to bed, he didn't even wake after I was carrying him. I talked to Soph. I told her everything you told me, and she got mad too, honestly. But I think she was more mad at herself. Like I told you, she'd been the one to suggest cutting Olivia loose when she graduated to save those that could be saved. He said the last bit as if something unpleasant tasting in his mouth. I nodded, recalling what he had told me. Stop remembering! We know this! We were there! You wrote this shit out! Like, yes, Inco is probably thinking about this. Unless this is plot critical, get rid of it. Just let these big, sexy chunks of text just sit really close together like a bunch of boobas. Like a nice set of butt cheeks. I mean, this thing does do longer sections of text, but you can have them adjacent, Get rid of this! Get rid of this one, especially. This, you don't need this. This can just be appended to this. Have some confidence, buddy. I know I'm angry, but, this is nothing to something levels of angry. This is just like, come on, man. You know what you can do. I believe in you. And all that stuff. I'm gonna throw some words into Google Translate and pretend to sound Japanese. I think she shifted the blame onto you. For a moment, at least. She said it suddenly made sense. Brought her out of her shell and then hurt her again. Saw for sure mad at herself and not realizing that Olivia was putting herself out there and being hurt again would obviously make her lash out. We were just seeing a child throw a tantrum. We were all just seeing a child throw a tantrum for no reason. Not what was really happening. You brought her out of her shell only to shove her back in again. Yeah, we get it. I mean, admittedly, that's part of the point, is that you hammer that shit home. But personally, I'm just salty on this because I've seen it done very poorly lately. Where it's like, my man, yes, but now is not the time. And this is fine. This is literally the time. Except, is it? Because he said it verbatim. So you're just doing the fucking anime thing of but yeah, X is Y. And it's like, stop treating me like a fucking moron. I can read. That's why I'm here. I have 2 brain cells, and they are rubbing together very vigorously. Sparks are flying. I'm just angry over nothing. I'm just an angry boy. Although I'm looking for something, give me a moment. I'm looking for the fucking link sent by Linkmaster 5000. How about YouTube? You bring me to the fucking comments in my comment studio, you bingus. And she was a girl. No, wait, no. The funniest one I ever heard was he was a girl and she was a boy. And they just stick with that the whole way through. It's fucking great. Because every time you're like, wait a minute. Just one diddly yarn minute there, buddy. Hold those horses. A cow. Man, I really like this one Tumblr thread. This one fucking Tumblr thread. That's like... The problem with D&D being a monopoly is that imagine if Family Guy was the only cartoon. And someone invites you over and there's like, oh, I saw this cool new thing. And it's just fucking Family Guy. American Dad. American Guy and Family Dad. Now that I'm crock full of shit. What the fuck? Ah! Whoa! Psychological horror was also part of the appeal of Garfield without Garfield. Huh! Oh, this is just cute. It's a poster of a wild boar. It is dangerous! Wild boar, come on. Oh, I know exactly who needs to see that. And then we're gonna go back to track. I need to fucking focus. I need to focus my brain. Oh shit! I just realized. Why are they called Snoot Game Fix? This is Wani Gator. Safi, you gormless man. Damien's word had been right on the money again. We talked about it. We talked for hours. I don't even know when we'd fallen asleep. Everyone would just know when they fall asleep. It's impossible. Damien doesn't know. Inco doesn't know. Olivia doesn't know where she went to fucking sleep. No one knows. Everyone's sleep schedule is just fucked. I don't know when we fall asleep, but it was early in the morning. Like I told you, we realized that we were putting all of Olivia's betterment on you, and that was a mistake. Your side of the story just confirmed that. You, were certainly the spark to lead things going the way they did. But if we hadn't put it all on you... Damien trailed off. Randy trailed off, staring into space. How do you make that mistake? You saw the name. I didn't really have anything I could say at this point. Still had a deep core of self-loathing. That was the ultimate linchpin in Olivia and everyone else's suffering. If not for me, everything would have been better off. But I could also tell, in the most logical part of my brain, that Randy was right. I was a nobody. An idiot, a teenager. Yeah, you're a teenager. Hence you are a nobody, and hence you are an idiot. Admittedly, and I think this is kind of interesting, this sounds like a critique of Snoot Game and Wani as a whole. You know, it's like, isn't it kind of weird that all these people expect some dipshit teenager to fix their children's problem for them? I don't know, Naomi. Maybe you should get a psychiatrist. Instead of fucking Anon. Like, in 3 out of 4 endings, Naomi, shit goes bad, okay? At least Inco has like a 1 or 2 out of 4, depending on how you look at some of the endings. Maybe even, I can go with 3 if you want to. I was ill-equipped for a healthy, normal relationship with a girl, let alone trying to navigate something like Olivia's past traumas. It was like a lightning bolt to my head. No, Inco. Actually, Inco, that's because we had to use the defibrillator. What? Your heart stopped. Oh, I was wondering why I was feeling so electric. Mr. Electric, send him to the principal's office and have him expelled. What a weird time to bring that up. I wasn't about to forgive myself. My personal sins were far too numerous. It's more like one big sin, you know. They almost made me kill Olivia. Manslaughter Olivia. Manslaughter Olivia. Also, Olivia technically did it, because the story refuses to have anyone else be at fault. But as I thought out, I realized that, honestly, really everyone does suck here. Go on Reddit, you dipshit. And for all the hatred I directed at myself, if I shook on the burden of mistakes people made outside of my control, then things would never get better. That's all I wanted. It didn't matter to me if the better outcome included me in the end or not. But for the pains, and more importantly for Olivia, we all needed to step up and correct our own screw-ups. I took my notepad again. I want to make things right. Randy read out my words and looked back at me, pulled out a very gentle smile. Me too. Fortunately, it was easier said than done. Especially since I was told that Olivia does not show for a while. Oh boy. Randy had to head home to help with something. Now that the big important event of the day was dealt with, and over the last few hours of thinking to myself, I'd come up with, precisely nothing. There was no obvious, let alone easy path to fixing this mess we found ourselves in. It was deflating, I admitted to myself. But maybe things worthwhile aren't the easy ones. Randy was clearly hurt about what I'd done, but I think he was blaming himself just like I was blaming me. We were both comrades in the inward-facing turmoil. He clearly wanted to make things right and was willing to forgive me for what I did as long as I kept being honest and trying to make an earnest effort to make amends. The good news was that was absolutely my plan. The idea of ever returning back to that spineless, sniveling, backstabbing cretin I was before I got hurt melts my stomach to roil. That sounds like severe brain damage, buddy. It's rare to change like that. I guess brain injury would probably do that to you. I mean, his jaw doesn't work. I couldn't help but give myself a rather dark smile at the response to that thought. Maybe some brain damage was what I needed to fix my brain. That was admittedly a pretty gross thought, but I felt like it was at least somewhat deserved. So Randy was willing to walk this road with me. That was probably the biggest, scariest starting hurdle to all of this. Next was Damien. We still needed to have our talk. He said he couldn't forgive me yet. I think. And I don't blame him at all. Out of everyone in the equation, Damien was most likely blameless for how things went. He was always putting himself out there, acting like a mediator, trying to keep everyone cool and collected. Randy was amazing, and if I were religious, I'd actually put Damien up for sainthood. A good saint is willing to punch a bad person in the face. I'll give him that much. When I resolved that he was the next step on this road to repair, I shot him a text message. Hey man, if you want, we can talk. It was in the evening now, so I didn't expect him to come back to me until tomorrow. It was fine. I was in here for another week at least anyway, so you know where to find me. I idly fiddled with my phone. I hadn't paid much mind since Randy bought it yesterday. But I didn't have anything better to do now anyway. It was a larger model than my old one. It also came with a nifty little stylus that hides away in the body of it. What a weird thing to do. What? Why would you do that? They're trying to make phones super fucking small nowadays. They're not putting a fucking stylus in there. And he started writing with a stylus. It was just because he wants to... Oh no, it's not as romantic if Inco has to type it with fucking swipe gestures. The human biology of turning it off and on. We need a new song. Let's find something. I think what gets me about a lot of maybe Wani's music is just more high concept, you know? It's trying to be more of a blanket of a vibe instead of like a specific thing. Maybe that's it. Let's keep thinking about that as we go along. Like, technology is pretty cool. We've had this fucking tech for years, my man! How are you impressed by this? You literally grew up with this. Like, Inco was 6 when the iPhone came out. I continued to scribble aimlessly at my phone, doing little swirls or abstract shapes as I thought. Damien was pending. He'll come back to me when he's comfortable. I thought of who I should try to work out things with after that. Vinny? Maybe. While as far as I can recollect, no harm was done to the enigmatic mini Damien. No harm done to the energetic mini Damien was done directly by me. I also didn't do enough to prevent Olivia from spiraling to the point where she lashed out at him. Inco is an iPad baby. It's 2021, 2-ish? 2020? 2021? And Inco is like 18, 19, so yes. Also, he's fucking loaded. Loaded enough that he should be familiar with the tech. Anyway. No. I did lash out at him too. I remember when we went to brunch with Liz. The move was spiraling, and I tried to call Damien for help, but since he was sick, Vinny answered. He in so many words called me old and insulted my chosen moves, and I snapped back at him. He didn't hear it, but I actually did threaten to strangle Vinny. Yeah, his mom heard that, I think. I would have done it too, of course, but good lord, I was such a douche that I yelled. I wouldn't have done it, of course. But good lord, I was such a douche that I yelled and threatened a child. Still am. But I'm working on that, so I still felt somewhat responsible. I don't think Vinny would actually hold it against me. He takes after his brother a lot. But I needed to try and think of something I could do as an olive branch. People will never get to see adult Vinny. He's in Near Olivia. In Near Olivia, they will meet everyone when they're older. And Damien, it's been like, what, 10 years, I think? I went with like 10 years. So like Damien is approaching his 30s, and Vinny is like an adult. I don't know how old Vinny is in the game.
If anyone knows, like, the exact age of Vinny in Wani Gator, good. Because I don't. But he's basically a soldier. He's in the military at that point. I think he's also at the camp, so they meet him in the next chapter. Or they would be meeting him in the next chapter. And Vinny is not as excited to see Olivia. Let's put it like that. As far as he's concerned, Olivia is part of the problem. Which is a big fucking thing to say when the apocalypse has happened. I'm just saying, if the apocalypse happens, meeting your sister and her being alive, I wouldn't be like, man, I can't believe you're the one that gets the gut packed from the fucking dead. Ugh. So I still felt somewhat responsible. I don't think of it. Okay. He had mentioned a certain Mr. Beast. Oh, they're just gonna call him out directly? I pulled out my phone, a little searching. I made 2.5 videos before I switched it off. The topic of each video was kind of interesting, but the frenetic editing style and quick pace disoriented me, so I couldn't focus on what was going on. Yeah. Sorry to tell you, Inco, but you might be an iPad baby, but you are not a railway runner's baby. You are not of the TikToks. God, maybe I am an old doo-doo fart. Still, it was that of video games, and I sucked at both. I don't know, look up something else on YouTube, like a fun documentary. Jesus. But maybe even trying to partake in what he liked was enough. I also liked hockey, too. I know you can play hockey on the streets and stuff, not just ice. Damien and Vinny were pretty sports-oriented, so maybe he had some of that equipment. Damien probably would be down for joining it, too. Solly's regimens have made me less pathetic. Maybe I could keep up enough for it to be fun? I'll jot down a note on my app for that. Yeah, hockey with Vinny. That might actually work. My next thought was Liz. Again, I didn't really feel like I screwed up things with her that much directly. But that lunch date went poorly, and obviously me being antagonistic with Damien certainly bled over. She would always go to bat for him, so if Damien was against me, Liz certainly was too. I mean, best case is Liz is like, it's not my fucking problem, is it? I mean, her problem is that Damien has a problem. So, like, that best case isn't happening, but you know what I mean. Unfortunately, I don't really know this that well. She's wicked smart and had her, honestly, probably Damien's lives planned out for the next decade at least. Talented artist in her own right, she was ready to make strides and opening a business the second school was out. You got a couple more months for that one, buddy. But outside of that, I barely knew her at all. Trying to make amends with Liz would be challenging. She'd probably try and brush things off to take a path of least disruption like she had done other times when conversations got dicey. But out of respect for both her and Damien, I would need to handle this properly. But, without a clue on how to broach things, I resolved to tackle the Liz topic once me and Damien had our talk, however that shook out. If I couldn't sort things out with Damien, then Liz would need to be permanently off the table anyways. Yeah, take it one at a time, buddy. It was a bleak thought, but I couldn't do anything about it now, so I let my thoughts trudge on. Next will be Sophia. Going off of what Randy said, she probably would be fairly receptive to me trying to make it right. It also sounded like she was angrier at me than he was, justifiably. I couldn't really think of any olive branches I could extend with her, either outside of maybe some kind of fashion of help around the house. But even if any mostly took care of that anyway, all I could really do was wait for an opportunity to talk with her like I had with Randy and hope for the best. My brilliant let's fix my screw ups plan so far was a lot of shrugging and hoping for the best. I mean, it's really dependent on other people, Inco. That's just how it goes when you know shit about people. I wasn't surprised by it. It was still a little frustrating that I couldn't figure out much in the way of concrete ways to make amends. I wasn't worried about my side of things anyway. If Vinny or Liz or Sophia hated me until the end of time, that was fine with me as long as I gave them some level of peace of mind. I also needed to confront Mr. Ferris at some point. He wasn't exactly part of the equation, per se, but my actions certainly made his life harder than they should have. I burdened him greatly at the formal. He was a kind person, and I'm sure he felt awful about the things, about me forcing him into hurting Damien. Again, other ideas than just talking things out, which I added to my notes. Kept my train of thought chugging along for who we'd been needing work with and landed on Ben and Mia. My mouth reflexively curved into a sneer. God, I was so stupid. Another two of them doormat me as they screwed me, as they used me to screw with Olivia. Should have been the first line of defense for her. In not putting up with her bullshit, but time after time I handed her to them on a silver platter. Angrily scrawled, fuck Ben and Mia into my notes. before circling the words in a huff. Why can't he just do this on the fucking pen and paper and just keep it around for fun? You can give him a fucking prop. I don't know. Yeah, that's... I don't know. It's like they put the note app... They give him an app with a stylus just so they could keep the fucking thing. But it's like, just give him the notepad. Make the notepad the literal physical representation of the ball and chain he has to carry because of the accident. I don't know. Works a hell of a lot fucking better than using it and then giving him the fucking phone. You had a metaphor, an allegory, right there. You blew it. You fucking clown. Your editor would say, "What are you doing?" That's why you don't get an editor, because they yell at you a lot. I mean, most of them are probably... they'll try to figure you out if they care. And they'll work on your level, but you know what I mean. I let my heart rate go back down before looking at the words. Sure, they deserve that, but it wasn't helpful. Mia sucked, full stop. She was probably one of the most spiteful, hurtful, broken individuals I'd ever met. But Ben... Ben was baffling to me. He always seemed like a good guy, but was willing to throw absolutely everyone under the bus for Mia. Literally everyone. But he was also somehow too spineless to stand up to her? Was Ben just me of a different flavor? Did he even notice it? Well, there was also what had transpired between him and Olivia in the past. I never got a full picture of it, but I come to the conclusion through my hours of introspection that I profoundly missed the big picture about their dynamic. I sighed and erased my angry etchings and then wrote, "Talk to Ben." I had no idea how it was going to go. I didn't think he'd refuse me. And if he did, I would lean into Mr. Ferris and Principal Scaler. I wasn't going to let him toss me under the bus again if the outcome harmed anyone else. My mind drifted back to meeting Principal Scaler about the Mia incident, when she just trashed me in the hallway. Ben had thrown me under the bus then too, but he was only partially to blame. I didn't just let it happen. I crawled my way under the bus and waited for him and Mia to hit the gas. I had figured out the easiest course of action at the time, and even looking back, I was right. I was the easiest course of action. It was also definitely the wrong one. Indirectly, it further harmed Olivia and emboldened Ben and Mia. So no. Normal buses. Fuck buses. Ben and I would have a talk one way or another. I refused to let him McKnight his way out of it when we did. My thoughts shifted laterally to Scaler. I felt bad for her. She wasn't the best principal, but she clearly had too much on her plate, and her caffeine addiction was going to kill her another 5 years. She kept it up and trying to stay on top of everything. But at least she was trying. Rather than just seeking her Ferris out, I just let things go until destroy the winter formal. She was a victim of my stupidity as well. Okay, alright. Ferris and Scaler need talking to as well. Noted. Oh boy! I mean, to be honest, a good title works like that sometimes, you know? A good title is a vibe check for your story. They finally brought me back around to the star of the tragedy of St. Hammond's, Olivia. My poor girl. Well, we probably weren't dating anymore, admittedly. That thought caused my chest to hurt. But it was well more than deserved. I like how Olivia is the last fucking part of the story. So, I wonder if this is the order in which things are going to resolve in the plot. Which isn't a bad idea, truth be told. I mean, it's a bit on the nose, but fuck it, man. Go for it. My problem is when you repeat the same fucking concept 12 times. Like I'm stupid. Laying things out is fine. Setting expectations, great. And then you can mix it up a little midway through when people get comfortable, you know? Give them the old banana slammer. Well, we're probably not dating anymore, admittedly. That thought caused my chest to hurt, but it was well more than deserved. I would like to say it was possible for us to try and repair things and, if not get back to how they were before, move on better and stronger. But by every account, she was in a bad way, and it was ultimately my fault. I pushed her back into a shell after all. Even if she never wanted to talk to me again, it was only the right thing to do to help. The only right thing to do was to help her get better. Even if it cost me everything else, Olivia deserved it. She had suffered more than anyone else I knew before I even met her. She didn't need me to continue to be an anchor around her. She needed support, and I would give it to her. The problem was how. According to Randy, she was completely cut off from everyone now, only going out when everyone else was asleep. Her room was apparently a wreck. Felt sickened at the idea, but she lashed out before. She destroyed her sketchbooks when I found her in the rain. She blotted out the window in her room when she was feeling awful. She destroyed Vin's macaroni art. Fortunately, the violent defenses of Fortress Olivia were accurate and lethal. Randy had said that she was the one that screamed for help when I took the fall for her, but I wouldn't be surprised if her remaining care for me stopped at "didn't want you dead," which is entirely fair. Unfortunately, I didn't know where to go from here. It was weeks of a slow burn train wreck I did nothing but facilitate, destroying the last shreds of joy and hope she had left before nearly dying in her arms to make up for the accident I had caused. For an accident I had caused. My options with Olivia were by far the thinnest, and yet, even though Randy said that they all had failed, I worked through the last few weeks of what had happened to get us there in my mind, and I realized unfortunately that our best in with Olivia was still me. I'm sorry, Olivia, that's really sad in a way. I sat there, mulling things over for who knows how long. It was nighttime by now. No one else visited for the rest of the day. Doesn't surprise me. Even if Randy had largely forgiven me, no doubt the truth about the formula stretched his patience, and he needed some time away from me. Damien had replied back a "we'll let you know," which was ominously vague, but at least he responded. I contacted Ferris and the Scaler, but I didn't have a way to text them, and without my ability to speak properly, a call would go nowhere, so I would need to tackle that through one of the grapevines tomorrow. Probably gotten bored of letting the wheels of my mind spin without getting anywhere, and had started idly doodling in the notes app with my stylus. I don't really help or anything, but it certainly gave my mind something to chew that wasn't letting me with my screw-ups for the first time since Pictionary, so that was nice. I mean, like, again, the pad can be that repair. There's a perfectly good metaphor you are throwing in the literal garbage bag, my man. Also, I just want to point this out, but apparently you can draw with your finger as good with a fucking pen, and I will not hear this. This author, we are stopping if he ever fucking calls out, "Oh, you know, with a stylus it's better than with a finger." Fuck off. I've seen people use their finger, and it's like, yes, I like a stylus, but damn. Art really is a matter of making what you got instead of what you got says what you make. Or something, I don't know, I'm not that smart. I was still really bad at art, like, wow. Let's go back to the doodles I made. A sketch of Olivia, that looked like the fish with legs. I tried Damien, but that looked like a fish. On its spines. There's Liz. Well, she turned out pretty alright, mostly because it was a stick figure body with a ludicrously long neck. So it was impossible to mistake a animal with her. I actually finished that one when I finished that one, I actually managed to eke a chuckle out of myself. I'll show it to her later, if our talk goes well. Then I had a thought. Maybe it was a stupid one, was probably the best chance I had. I thought back to what Randy said when he departed the day for me. I know she was doing well, I know he's got to make it up for us. How? Oh god, we're almost there. I opened Olivia's contact on my phone and brought up the text message history. I scrolled through memory lane, so many happy memories flooded back to me. So many silly sketches she did of Gus doing absurd non-rat things, or characters from animes she liked to watch. I wondered how Olivia did those doodles on her phone. Did she just use her claw to sketch like she did in class? I hadn't really thought about it. It made me slightly angry at myself. There's so much about her I didn't know. There was so much about Olivia I didn't know. Oh, come on, just say there's so much Olivia I don't know. Come on, man, be a little exciting. I never really attempted to get to know her until circumstances dumped us into a relationship. I don't regret it at all, of course. It was the happiest I'd ever been. And until things started falling apart, I think it was the same for her. But looking back, I was a terrible boyfriend. Beyond that, I was also a terrible friend. So maybe that was the starting point. Try being a good friend first and foremost. Getting to know her properly. My plans, such as they were with everyone else, had circled around to try and find common ground I could engage with them on. An olive branch that could be extended so we could meet on difficult problems as equals. I was frustrated to say that I didn't really have much for Olivia in that regard either. But I didn't have nothing. I tapped to start a new message. Clicked the little add file button on the message and opened the notes app. It was crude, it was sad, it was ugly. But it was a picture of Guts giving a thumbs up. Olivia's favorite anime is Berserk. Huh? I mean, fair enough. I heard it's good, so fair enough. I attached it and added a text. Hey, just to let you know, I'm alright. Text me when you can. I mean, like, I get it, Inco, but on conversations like this, you should probably not open with something that is selfishly oriented and something goofy like us. Like, you want to warm her up a little with a couple of messages, and then put in Guts, and then put in that you're fine. You know, be a bit more dismissive. Because at this moment, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what she would want to hear. I guess that's the point of the fucking story now, ain't it? It wasn't much, but at least it was an attempt at something. After it was sent, I worried it was too casual, too friendly for me. Unpleasant. Too friendly for the unpleasant waters we now found ourselves in. Randy said she did want to know if I was okay. That was the important part. I wasn't dead. And I wasn't mad at her. Everything else we could just play by ear. To my surprise, the message was marked as read quite quickly. I watched my phone for several minutes, looking if she would reply, but it didn't prompt that she was typing. The terror I felt at the sheer notion of even asking Olivia before oddly never materialized to me. I think between being honest with Randy and hearing his words about talking to Olivia gave me the inner strength to just go for it. And it may explode in my face later, but it didn't explode immediately. I let out a breath. I didn't realize I was holding Aline back into my pillow. That was fine. She saw it. She knew I was alive. One step at a time. We'll talk when we're ready. Wow! There's only 2 comments because this guy uploaded everything at once, I think. Anyway, chapter 2. That was alright. That was nice. Yeah, that was nice. So, Scary Dave, are you still around? Otherwise, we're going to keep those links on ice for a while. Apparently, Damien is sick next time. Man, it is really oddly nice to read a story that is doesn't do the double line thing, which apparently, whatever. Okay, cool. Scary Dave's still around, so we can do this. Ah! I hate it when I make a mistake. First off, let's put on something a bit zestier. Fnag? Who the hell is Fnag? Nerd Fang. I mean, I kind of dig this nerd design. It's very cute. It's kind of goth, kind of nerd. Holy shit, Snoot game scene in my own style. Damn, that looks great though. I don't know if I like Ink Anon with hair, but I do like what he did with Fang's hair. So many people aren't really doing much with Fang's hair, and it just feels so wet look. And I'm like, Fang does not work with wet look. Fang, you have giant fucking feathers. You don't work with wet look. Fluff that shit up. Olivia's new style. People are gonna flip. It's not an anime. I know someone who needs to see this though, because he likes this stuff. Alright. Next up on the list. You can all read along by going to a polite reminder. That's the community post. Is this the one that I already read? Because I already read something. What happened to Exit 665's funding? What a weird thing to put in here. Yeah, I think I already read this. I don't know, man. Art really isn't society talking to itself. I understand that you can think about it like that, but that's not true. Art is a person talking. And I guess you could say that that's society, because we're part of a society. But I think that art is a bit... It's a bit less grandiose than that. Art is people making sense, and then they just talk to someone else about it for some fucking reason. She can't be that bad, right? No, Mia is that bad. Kill her with hammers. Holy shit, that is just human reading Fang. Even have the colors too. Where was this song? Fang, another kid boffed in the booth. Dude, I'm sick. That means you have to buy me candy. That's like boyfriend rule number 1. Lie back to... What the fuck? Ah! You're her lawyer. Defend her. Man, I forgot that like the lighting in the bathroom scene is pretty good, but I really do feel that like I don't like Fang's hair, okay? But part of that is because I really don't like what Goodbye Volcano idea with the character in terms of design, because the fucking engine just shat itself. Dude, Benson's gonna be pissed. The lovers. And those dogs got some snoots. A cute background character named Grace. Dang. You know what's really weird? All this stuff, this is what I needed. This is what's gonna get me back to writing. And I think I know what I'm gonna put the work into. Oh no. Ripley, you can't murder a child! That's murder, Ripley! I don't care what your lawyer says! Femso who paints when she feels like it, and even if she's very sweet sometimes. Mine is hot. And something less boring. Listen. Let's turn off the music for a hot minute, okay? I have serious objections to what Encore is doing. Like, I get it, right? Encore makes a lot of sense to a lot of people, and I'm mostly upset about Encore because I can't do voiceovers, and I have to actually listen. But I just mentioned that having voiceovers does kind of ruin your capacity to enjoy the music. Admittedly, the commentary is what fills out the dead space. That's what really makes it bad. But my real problem with Encore is, I don't know, man. Like, the fact that it looks a little shit is part of the arrangement. Like, listen, I know that Wani has the better art. But fuck if I don't like the jank of the other stuff, okay? I don't know. I don't think I could ever really enjoy it as anything other than its own product. Dude, how the fuck do you have this as a list? Katawa Sojo, Undertale, Night in the Woods, Snoot Game, and then Wani? How is that your list? Those are so far apart from each other. Ooh, that's impressive though. Is that a fucking Olivia pyramid? Also, that Snoot Game cover is interesting. I don't know if it works though, because it doesn't really capture what the game's about. Sorry to tell you, Luigi. Oh, this is so cute. The Snoot Game experience. I mean, admittedly, I think the thing that will forever stick with me is Fang checking Anon out, and it's just, like, played completely. Anon's not into it. Babe, I love you so much, it hurts. Oh, kiss me like Man, I love this raw Puppet Pals energy. Okay, we're putting this one up where the kids can see it. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. We're sharing this one. I love this raw Puppet Pals energy. Yeah. Also, how about okay? Listen, I need to have this chit chat. Okay, I need to lay this down. One big problem I have with Promise of a Lifetime is that it continuously hams on the idea that, oh, Fang, you look so feminine now. Fang does not dress androgynous or masculine at all. The only reason she looks, they look, excuse me, they look masculine in Goodbye Volcano High is because she has the body of a child and is this blocky thing that everyone else is. Everyone is blocky in that, so Fang also looks fucking blocky. Fang does not dress androgynous. And I know, you don't have to be androgynous to be non-binary. I'm just saying it's like, come on, man. We're not there yet. We're not there. We're not at the avant-garde of gender yet, buddy. You can't do that, okay? You just can't. Unless you want to just make it for the queer circles, in which case, go fucking nuts, but you're not there. You're in public, selling your game for money. Oh, she's eating the... the Dino Nuggie! I love it. Oh, it's in several different... Oh, shit! Okay, fuck, I gotta share this, because I... Listen, I need you to fully understand that I'm in fucking love. I am in love with the Yoshi. I'm in love with the Yoshi from Paper Mario. The Odd Parents one is neat too. I kind of dig that one. Lunara is underappreciated, but that's because she only gets to be a jobber, mechanically speaking. She's fictional. You cannot marry her. Oh. It's spherical. Man, Naomi with the braces is cute though. Anon lovers. Let's ship Anon with literally everyone. You can't ship one man with everyone. You just can't. I like how Reed's standing like, yeah, I just showed up to the shoot. I don't even know what's going on, man. Oh, I love how Mo's arms are little. That's cute. That's cute. And I'll make friends with everyone. Come on, Brain, play that dream. I'm with her. I know. I remember. I rarely have dreams like that. Olivia, okay, I figured out how to mold you into the perfect boyfriend. On the table with you. Here's a copy of Ulysses in my hand. It's what? Get ready to have opinions.
That just does not look like a good place to hang out.
The cat is on that man's head. Incredible. Why is this all in the recording? Because I have too much going on with my life, really. Ending 3. It really does surprise me that some people just like ending 3. But then again, you can't argue taste. Well, Encore is too saturated. Sliquidator. That's a fair opinion, you know? It's just too slick for me. I'll probably play it on primarily to refresh myself on the story, but also because I want to talk about it. And then when I'm done talking, we'll just sit there and look. They're the same picture. Between this Minecraft Fang and what? My Fang Minecraft skin. My Elytra. Each one goes Voices of the Void through misadventures and events. Goes to character fixing stuff. I mean, that'd be cute. That'd be an interesting story, an idea. Maybe later, but listen, I really want to get Ophinia and the Shalonians and the Commonality and fucking Mindjammer out of my head. So the next thing I'm going to write is almost certainly going to be that one with Inco, because it is the most well-hatched idea, I guess you could call it. And maybe I'm going to go back to Near Olivia. I don't know, I've kind of revitalized my spirit on that a little. I might revitalize more if I play fucking Nier again. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Are we doing another stream tomorrow?